This image. Yep, that one. I'm pretty sure you've seen it all over the internet, as I have, in many different meme formats. It's one of the better memes that came out during the year of 2021, and I honestly still love it to this day. My favorite one is when they use it within Soulsborne formats. But who's the girl on the left? What series is she from? I did a little bit of research, and by a little bit of research, I just basically hopped in my Discord server after someone had posted the image, and I asked him, do you actually know what series that's from? And they actually did, and it's from a series known as Magical Girl Sight. Now, let the name not fool you at all, and even though this is listed as a shonen, this series is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever read, at least part of it that I've read, because, well, I'll get into that. And the reason I say ridiculous is because I have no idea how this could be targeted towards a younger audience with how graphic and dark it can get. The iconic image from this series, the one that's in the thumbnail, is actually the main character of the story, Aya. And this is later on in the story, about around 100 chapters, and the story has like 130. So I'd have to get pretty far to get to this moment. But my god, do I refuse to keep reading this. Okay, hold on. Wait, before I get ahead of myself, let me explain the basic premise. The protagonist of our story, Aya, is a girl who gets bullied beyond any reasonable belief by her classmates. Her life sucks, she also gets abused at home, and so amidst this abuse, she gets contacted by the magical girl Sight and becomes a magical girl, which gives her this power. She uses this power and accidentally kills 2 people. She then meets her classmate, who's also a magical girl, and they talk about what's known as the Tempest, this sort of what could be apocalyptic event that is going to happen. And it's like this whole mystery, essentially, as to who's behind the magical girl Sight and what this Tempest thing is. If you want some sort of correlation, kind of like how Gantz chooses people. And so that's pretty much the premise of the story so far. There's all these other magical girls around the entire world as we figure out there's more and more and more of them. And the more that they use their powers, the more that it actually affects their lifespan, if you will. So the premise doesn't actually sound all that bad. And at first, even though I thought the bullying and the way that the story presents things, which again, I'll get into more of in a bit, it was a bit over the top. At least it gave me a protagonist, a character that I could see some potential for some legitimate development, but at least it gave me a character that I could like. If I had to point out any positives, and I guess the art style can be pretty cool sometimes, and the facial expressions are extreme, so you could feel the emotion. It's this is where I get into the negatives, and I'm only like 30 chapters in, and I don't want to read anymore. Okay, so outside of the main character, every other character that gets introduced, these magical girls, this is exactly what they condense to. It's, oh, I'm a cute anime lolly, but psych, I'm actually a psychopathic murderer. That is, and I'm not exaggerating, that is all of their personalities. None of them really stand out from another one, other than from their designs and their powers a little bit. And I guess some of them are more serious than others that act a bit more cutesy. But at the end, it's always, aha, I'm a cute little, and then it just completely switches into this overly just serious, I'm gonna kill you scene. The story is edgy, and look, I don't like throwing out the term edgy like that because I think people mistake a dark tone within a story for edgy. Edgy is using a dark tone or over-the-top dark moments without any sort of legitimate justification. It doesn't contribute anything to the world building of the story, into the building up of a specific villain. It doesn't build up the tension within the story. That way it contrasts the bright moments. Stories like Tokyo Ghoul, Berserk, etc., they have very dark moments, and yeah, you could argue some edgy ones as well, but overall it offers so much more. This story would kind of go along similar lines like Jujika no Rokunin. The only difference is Jujika no Rokunin is actually a compelling thriller at the beginning of the story and gives me something to be hooked onto. This story doesn't have that at all. Did I say already that the characters suck? I don't like saying that. I don't like being harsh. I really don't. But I can't find anything legitimately compelling about any of these characters outside of the main one. The motivations for a lot of these characters are also some of the most uninspired things ever. And the conflicts are just, they're uninteresting, considering the fact that even this early on within the story, characters who you think would either be dead or stay on the antagonistic side for a while just get kind of swapped around on sides, and it's just really weird. Okay, really quick, just to go back to the characters, actually. There's one, and again, this is just to kind of tell you that I'm not exaggerating on how edgy it is. The chapter starts off with her cutting herself, like just flat out cutting herself. And then her character is essentially like, oh, she needs to take meds to function. And then if she doesn't take meds, she just starts like repeating over and over again, I need to cut myself. I need to cut myself. I need to cut myself. And I would find this extremely entertaining if I was some sort of degenerate Discord moderator. And I mean the worst of the worst. And the only reason I might find this a little bit entertaining at times is because of how laughable it can be. Because it's an absolute mess. Because the story starts off to be like this thing that could turn into very similar to Platinum's End, this battle royale within the Magic Girls, where it's like, oh, they're picking each other off one by one, and then in the end there's only going to be one maybe. And then that turns into this whole other thing where instead now all the magical girls are getting wiped out when we just got introduced to all these new ones that we never even get to meet. It's just like, I don't even know what the story's really trying to go for, and I'm already 30 chapters in. I already like it has so much to it that I just don't like and I don't care for, that even the mystery behind who runs this thing, it doesn't even intrigue me at all. I wish I could compliment the fights if there were really any legitimate fights of interest to point out. It's just sort of like conflicts that get resolved instantaneously, and the powers and the way that they used kind of suck. Maybe it's because I'm not enjoying it, but even though it feels like this should be a bit of a thriller, it doesn't really pace itself well for me at all. A lot happens within the story, but man, has it been a pain to get through, and I'm only on chapter like 30 something, man. I think the only saving grace, if one did bother to keep reading it, would be the mystery behind the magical girl site and seeing hopefully growth from the main character, as she has some moments here and there, and like I said, she's extremely likable, but nothing, there's just nothing, man, that keeps me there wanting to keep reading. I took a break for reading Land of the Lustrous. I finally found a colored version to it, and I took a break from reading that to try this out because I knew I'd eventually want to do a video on it. But nah, man, I think I've seen enough. I think only like Rosario Vampire at the beginning like pissed me off more than this. And I actually heard Rosario Vampire like turns into some crazy later on. This, I'm never gonna get those hours back I spent reading. Like, I'm not. I'm just... But as always, that's just my opinion on the series. I gave you the sauce. Now it's up to you to try the sauce out for yourself. Again, this is just my own personal thoughts. I wouldn't really recommend this series. I would recommend lots of other things before you ever try reading this. But if you want to read it, go ahead, and if you enjoy it, good for you. Maybe you'll reach the end and you can let me know if the ending is worth yeah, but I actually got upset making a video. Anyways, this has been The Masked Man. If you are new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Insta, join the channel's Discord. Bye.